Okay, so I just thought of this song.
What
for the
song?
show? It's a theme song. Listen.
Right now?
Yeah, go.
Kurt has kids and an SUV.
Joey scans Reddit obsessively.
We share music and a chromosome. It's a romance built to last and last. Dudes of future past. Dudes of future past. Kurt and Joey's podcast. Dudes of future past.
Oh, yay.
Woo! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Hello, it's 2018, Joey.
I know, I never thought I'd get this far.
Right?
Right? We're 2 years away from 2020.
You could scratch off that tattoo says, I'm going to die at the end of 2017.
I wish I would have got
You
it
made it.
permanent. God damn it.
I know. It's just a henna tattoo, but you just wash it off right
I
now.
know, but I'm allergic to henna, so now it's a permanent scar.
Yeah. But
The
the good news is you're here. We're here. It's 2018. It's the first Dudes of Future Past podcast. Coming out of the box, making 2018 start right with two beautiful men
Aw, that's
in our
sweet.
chicken coop.
That's sweet. Who are these two beautiful men? I have to be
Should we set up the show first? I feel like I want to talk. I want to address the guest because like.
Well, let's set it up.
Let's set up.
I'm Joey Bragg. I'm 21 years old. I'm a millennial. I got my whole life ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm 44. I'm kind of Joey's surrogate dad, but he already has a dad.
Yeah, also, don't say that.
Don't
That's
say
weird.
that?
Yeah,
No.
that's weird.
I'm just dad's. I'm in his dad's age group.
Yeah, that's all you had to say.
Yeah,
Surrogate
that's-
dad.
I'm sort of. Well, no, I had a dad moment. We had a dad moment, like setting up this podcast.
Oh, yeah, we had.
Where I was like, Joey, we got a podcast on this date. Okay, sure. And then you were like, totally forgot. Like, what day is it?
Yeah. Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Heyo.
Hey, no, but I get it. See, that's the thing is, for me, part of the idea of this podcast is we're bridging the millennial Gen X gap.
Mm-hmm.
But we show that two people of very, very different ages can be friends and hang out.
Despite
also-
not putting something in their iPhone calendar.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
some people don't do that.
Some people don't.
Some
people
it's just not an age. It's just
got
a
distracted by Snapchat and Etsy and all those millennial
There's
apps.
so many distractions nowadays.
Speaking of
Like-
distractions, who are these two guys devouring
These
that
two
box
hot
of
men.
donuts we bought?
These guys are responsible for us kind of knowing each other in the first place.
Kinda.
Kind of, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
If Tony Danza would have taken the part of Johnny Nimbus, I'd be doing this show with him.
You'd be doing a show with him.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, what's going on? My name's Tony.
It would be much more interesting because he's like a Trump supporter, and we would actually have. Like,
You would
opposing
have
views.
like fights, but
Yeah.
that's my new resolution for 2018.
Be Tony
I forgot to
Danza?
tell you. No, I'm going to be a Republican, right wing,
Yeah,
super conservative.
huge.
Yeah.
change.
Oh yeah, I think it's just something different. You know, I thought something was missing in my life, and I thought maybe that's it. So we'll try it out for a little while.
Yeah,
see how it
Enjoy,
goes.
You're white, so it's gonna work for you.
Yep. Join the NRA.
Ooh,
Yeah, I got a lot of guns and
Pow.
yeah, and just
Protect your family.
and I'm masturbating in plants.
Dope, dude.
Yeah,
Dope.
yeah, I'm doing
That's
that
great.
now. That's my new thing.
Pulling that penis out in front of anybody that doesn't want to see it. It's
Exactly.
like a power move that no one respects.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I thought, try that out for a little while.
Speaking
see how
of
it
pulling
works.
your penis out in front of people you don't want to talk to,
I don't know what we
Yeah,
got
Let's
ourselves
talk about-
into here.
I don't know how what happened here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all jokes. Those
They
are all
need no
jokes.
introduction,
Those are funny.
but they absolutely do.
They absolutely do. These are two fine gentlemen who they're in my age group, right? They're Gen Xers
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
themselves.
They have
I'm
children.
older than you, apparently.
Yeah, you're what?
I'm older than you.
You're older, but this fella is slightly younger by a couple days. By days. Mere days, my friend. Mere weeks.
Interesting.
July 20th is your birthday.
Yeah,
It's my
I'm July
birthday, too.
2nd.
Oh.
And so get those birthday
I
gifts.
am a little young.
Who are these people,
started.
by the way? Let's talk about
They're not only the creators, writers, producers of Liv and Maddie.
Hey!
They're also producers, writers on and Netflix Disjointed.
Yes, sir.
And executive producers, writers on Nickelodeon's
Night
upcoming Night Squad.
Night Squad.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Did I say
Night
that right?
Squad. You did.
And also, I mean, written on the Hughleys. You know them as Ron and John, or John and Ron, depending on how you go
or
alphabetically.
John Beck and Ron Hart, if we want to use the full name.
No, I don't want to.
Thank you, Joseph, for
That's it,
showing the
right?
proper respect.
Yeah.
Ron and John. Those two
Ron and
guys
John.
from the
No,
Valley
but when
that
you
are
go
always-
into meetings, though, is it Ron and John or John
Well,
and
it's
Ron?
weirdly it's Beck and Hart or Ron and John.
Yeah.
Is
I don't
it?
know why it flips like that, but yeah.
It's
that's
Beck and
weird.
Hart or Ron and John. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Usually
Do you
Beck
guys
and Hart.
also own a realting company in LA called John Hart Realtor?
That's
Ooh,
I've not
that
heard
would
of
be
that.
Nice. I like
Do you
that.
know that's
no,
a real
because
thing?
that sounds lucrative.
Yeah.
We're not into that.
Yeah.
There's also Ron John Surf Shop. So
Really?
that's
Sure.
also not us.
Wow. Damn. Yeah. You guys, if you guys seem so much more interesting if you were just guessing what you did do.
There's also Don Johnson, who was on Miami Vice.
Oh, guys, congratulations.
You guys,
Yeah.
any relation?
That
to
is
that?
us.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, but thank you for being here, guys. I'm
Thank
so
you for
excited.
inviting
it's been
us.
Way
Thanks.
too long.
Yeah.
We wanted to. I mean, I figure this is kind of like the appropriate, like, big show, first show of the year,
Oh, yeah.
right? Started off with Ron and John.
Big show. Is that
Big
we're
show.
fat? Is that what you're saying?
It's the biggest show we've had.
Let's get to resolutions, bro. This is more of
Remember when they first sat down and the couch tipped
just
comically?
comically, and then they both sat down and everything evened out. It was
Yeah.
fine.
Equilibrium and
No.
balance.
I wrote down in my notes for this thing, no fat jokes.
Yes, and you did it. You started it, Ron.
Wow.
I had somebody tell
What?
me.
I
don't
had
like
no
fat-
idea you had restraint.
I do. I
That's
do
a
have
good,
restraint.
new-
Somebody-
that's a new trait.
I was doing something. I was doing a movie. I do those now. And
Thanks to you guys. Thanks to you guys.
There was this kid that shall remain nameless that was a little bit on the bigger side, but was like making anti-Semitic jokes like you like, all make when you're that age. And I was like, had up to here, and I said something, or I said like, is your hair that greasy from the basket of French fries that you just rubbed or you smeared over your face or something? And then this guy came up to me and was like, I understand that he was saying all those anti-Semitic things, but like fat jokes are just too easy and it's just mean. And I was like, wow, that's must have been really hard for a fat guy to say. You must be so afraid of what I'm going to say now, but it did. It affected me. I'm like, I'm not making fat jokes that often. Yeah. So if I put a fat joke on the table, just don't eat it.
What
up
is?
right away.
You guys are writers. What's off limits?
I
What-
do not think fat jokes are off limits.
Yeah.
I feel like
Absolutely
that
not.
is like the last prejudice you're allowed to have.
Thank God. All right,
Like
back off.
nobody judges someone for being judgy of fat people.
Really? There's
Yeah.
no, dude. There's a whole.
There's a
millennial
there's a
movement.
big millennial
well,
movement
you're,
right
fat
now.
acceptance.
you're talking to the wrong people because
Yeah.
we're.
You guys have accepted that you're fat.
My motto is now and has always been: if you have to eat shit, don't nibble.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's good.
if there's something
I like
there,
that.
take a big bite of that shit sandwich and swallow it down.
I'm gonna
gonna-
crochet that on a pillow.
When
Exactly.
you get on Fear Factor, that's going to be the worst motto in the world. We just said take a bite.
No, I want the whole sandwich.
Finishing it.
We just gave him the bun.
I feel like if people sometimes people get into like an uncomfortably racial area.
Yeah.
And not that
You mean
not that
black
they're saying
people?
racist, but no, they'll say something about someone of another race, and they'll like kind of subconsciously look like to see if anyone of that race is around. Okay, and yeah, sometimes maybe it is actually racist, but like generally it's just like just out of I guess politically correct politeness or whatever. But if it's like if someone is like out and says like, oh, if I eat one of those biscuits, I'm going to balloon up to be 300 pounds. The look is afterwards. It's always like, I'll be 300 pounds. And then they turn and look at me. Have a biscuit.
And
so
you're like, it's true.
But
It's
that's
true.
just the nod of recognition.
it's not a recognition.
Right, Ron?
So, yeah.
Is that what happened?
And I'm on board with biscuits. So
Yeah.
I feel like fat jokes there should be no shame in fat jokes.
I get it, right? It's the same thing with like people get upset at making jokes about the elderly. It's like we're all going to be old one day.
Right.
Racism would be a lot like funner if we were all going to turn black over the course of 30 years.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a
Right?
good Black Mirror film.
Wouldn't that?
Oh,
Yeah,
see, that's a good Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Everybody's-
god, yeah. My driving's getting worse. Oh no.
Oh, but I'm
You
really good at
connected.
math. He's turning Asian.
Oh, see, you're the
See?
racist one.
No,
I
my
just
wife's
said driving.
Asian. No,
I could've done it.
I got that card of like my wife's Asian. I can say those jokes.
Yeah.
And hey, is that a card you can have?
I don't know if there is. a
It
card
doesn't
you
work
can-
that way.
I'm not
what
sure.
if I'm a quarter Asian, or not a quarter, like an eighth or something? No,
You're so not.
I made a joke once.
my kids are Asian.
A racist joke that somebody didn't appreciate. And
That's
then I went,
shocking.
oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. My cat's black. That did not.
That
did
didn't
not
go
help.
over well. Didn't
Wow.
help
Did
me.
not go over well. No.
Here's the thing. I feel like
I told my cat that, and she went,
that's the balance with the millennial generation and everything. I love learning that, yeah, like we got to be more sensitive. Like let's set the bar a little higher. Let's be a little smarter about our humor and jokes and all that. But at the same time, the vindictiveness and the attacks of like just any jokes that come out
Yeah.
That people are like just shunned forever because of one silly joke, and you're like, come on, it's
Yeah, I
it's
do
not the
think
end of
there's
the world. Can we have a sense of humor still?
I think there's a big difference, though. As someone that sets off a lot of triggers on people, I think there's a big difference between something that is obviously meant for humor's sake and something that is meant to take something down a notch.
Right.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Which is
that
funny.
being said,
Because something I used to admire about Louis C.K., who was like somebody who could take everything that was really, really tough to talk about and make jokes about it and make it really funny and smart, is also a guy who calls women on the phone and masturbates while he talks.
that's going to be a weird special. His Dave Chappelle comeback special.
Oh.
He's like, just pull it out. I can't even.
You think that's coming?
Yeah,
Like, how
that's
far
coming.
off is that? Do you think?
What is the?
I would say
buffer?
Is that happening in 28? 8
years? And CISO comes back with a new Louis C.K. special.
Wow.
You
think CISO's lasting that long?
I think no.
That's
I
a big
feel
CISO's
like-
already dead. I think CISO's making a comeback with Louis C.K.
I think he's got to look a little more fragile and elderly.
I hope
like
he's-
people
I
got to
hope-
start to feel bad. Like, oh, he's a grandpa now.
I think
or something.
I hope he's done. I hope that like my generation does a really good job of cutting the head off the snake and then cutting the other three off. Like now that Harvey is out, I don't want any redemption. I don't want somebody to go to rehab and come back. I don't see why people still listen to Chris Brown music. Like,
Yeah, I
think
don't get
we
that
should
either, yeah.
I think it should be cut ties. Pull your penis out. That should be enough.
Well, that's the thing. I think celebrity and fame and the benefits that come from it, it's still a privilege. It's not a right. You don't have to just be famous. Like I still get pissed off. I got in an argument with somebody recently over the Christmas holiday because they went to see Daddy's Home 2, and I'm like, I can't. How can you go watch Mel Gibson on a, like? I don't get why they think that's
there's a lot of reasons not to go see that movie.
Right.
That's,
There's a lot of good
that's
reasons.
number one. Yeah.
There's a lot, but I mean, why
Yeah.
support Mel Gibson? Why does he need?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot. He's a good history of whatever. He's an artist. I get it. Fine,
But
he's also made enough money to go away.
Yeah.
and just live off
And
that.
that's like there's recordings of that. I mean, we're in a place where we're talking about this, and our president said a pretty bad stuff too. So it's like, but let's get off this little.
Let's
fun
get off.
tangent
Well,
before
anyway, the
before
good part is those are bad people going away, and what the great part about having Ron Hart and John Beck here is that they're good guys who did it the right way and are working.
It's very
in
kind of you. Thank you.
or at least
You know what I
did
mean?
it the right way and covered it up.
They covered it up
Right.
enough that nobody knows about it yet.
Yeah.
So-
To kind of bridge the gap to get into talking to you guys about actual things other than making racist and fat jokes.
Yeah.
Do you you went from Liv and Maddie to Disjointed?
Yes, sir.
Liv and Maddie is a place where you gotta stay in the parameters of what is family
was
Disney
Disney
Channel.
Channel.
Yes,
appropriate.
there is a very definite envelope, and you
Did
don't
you
you
guys-
don't want to push it too far.
Did you guys feel that you wanted to go that it was harder to find that audience of adults again because you were making jokes about I don't know
Well, there's a thing
Marmalada?
in writers' rooms, you tend to get really crude. It's just sort of like a way to keep the conversation going. And so even when we were writing for the Disney Channel and we knew none of it would, we're not even going to get close to anything offensive, you would still be pitching out scenes that were incredibly offensive, you know. And, it was just to get everybody laughing.
The things you pitch through to get to the things you can actually
Right.
use.
Right.
And on Disjointed, those bits would end up, we'd film them in front of audiences, and they were hilarious. I mean, it was such a funny cast, and they were just game for anything. But yeah, we literally would pitch things and and I would think it's okay, this is the icebreaker, but no, someone is typing this, and we're going to see this tomorrow.
Kathy Bates is going to read that. In
Yes,
Yes.
I saw the sizzle reel for the season 2, and it looks absolutely hilarious. Looks like
The
you guys
second,
went
well,
through-
it's the second part of season 1.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Season 1 was 20 episodes. There were the first 10, and then we came in for the second 10, and we're really, really proud of it. It's a lot of really funny stuff. The cast is fantastic. We can't wait for everybody to see it.
It is, yeah. There's one clip in that sizzle reel of Kathy is on the couch, and she says, "You don't have the balls to be this high."
Yeah.
And that scene, and I don't know how it's going to play for people watching it, but watching it live was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely amazing. She's so talented. But I really did not understand how funny she was until we got to work with her. But that scene in particular was just hilarious. I mean, she was obviously playing someone. She was in a lot of physical pain, so she started taking marijuana.
The character.
Right. The
Right.
character did.
Yeah.
We think, yeah.
Who knows?
We don't know.
You know,
Everybody has their process, right?
Right.
One of my questions on my little questionnaire was, does Kathy Bates get high? Can Kathy Bates come over with me?
Well, I think there could be an open question out there. If Kathy Bates is currently listening to this podcast,
Kathy,
Joey Bragg
we invite
would love
you.
to get high with you.
Send me a text.
We would love to have whatever you
Little
got.
4-leaf clover emojis. I'll know exactly what you're talking about.
It's BYOW, though. We want to smoke what she's smoking.
Yeah?
Right, yeah.
Not
I think so.
necessarily.
No?
I'd do anything. I'd find it in
Just
between
whatever.
my couch cushions.
Yeah.
So that must be like
That's-
she's royalty.
Yeah.
And a truly lovely person.
Yeah.
The one of the most fantastically talented and kindest people you'll ever get the good fortune to ever work with.
Oh, God.
Is she in character all the time? I feel like I heard an interview with her and saying that she takes her job as an actor very seriously. That not that she's like one of those Jim Carrey or Daniel Day-Lewis types that she doesn't break character, but she doesn't mess around. Like when she's on set, that she's like means business all the time and she wants to get the job done. Or she?
Yeah, she's a hard worker.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
works hard, but I think she has like, I mean, there's a certain amount of gravitas because she's had this amazing career and everything, and like a lot of the actors on the show are a lot. I mean, they're all younger, obviously, and they're a lot of them are pretty green in terms of like actually acting on television. So that was really cool because like she could have just been the elephant that tramples on everything, but she really fostered a really like an ensemble vibe for the show, and she really like got into watching other people have their moments too. So
And actively making sure those moments were there.
right, yeah. Not that she's like I don't know if she's a producer on the show, but she definitely had a voice in like what was happening,
Right.
So she wasn't playing Ruth like 24/7. She was definitely like a participant. And yeah, like John said, she's really sweet. Very, she's just a really cool woman. And I don't know that I've met anyone like when we say we're on the show. There's not a single person that doesn't go, "Oh my God, I love her."
Right. Yeah.
And it's
you
like,
not?
and it's also like, I don't know. I loved her, and I would always think of Misery, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget that she's been in every movie.
She's been in
Yeah.
a lot.
She's
of
been in
stuff.
so many
Titanic.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like, and she never has been bad at anything.
About
No,
Schmidt? Was
she's
it about
always
Schmidt?
great.
Did she
Yes,
get
it
naked
was.
in the hot tub? Yeah, of course. Nobody can forget that.
No, yeah, she really has worked, and not even like on television too. So many. She was
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything.
Oh yeah. No, she's.
But that's what I want as far as a career goes. It's just
You
like,
want to be
no
Kathy
matter-
Bates.
I want to be
Little
Kathy
late.
Bates.
That is not gonna
That's
happen.
what I
buddy,
kind
little
of.
late.
She's
Not too late. She's
it's
got
late,
how many years
and
on
she's
me?
really talented. So I
In
think
In the
it's-
movie of the week
this is
biopic,
tough.
you could play Kathy
This
Bates.
feels-
Oh, that would be fantastic.
What if I get
Kurt Long?
I will.
A
Kurt Long
career-changing
get the
role.
role of his life. I'm your number one fan.
It's like that Hamilton non-racial
I was
casting.
trying to say I felt like I was the Kathy Bates of the Liv and Maddie set. I kind of made
Yeah.
everybody. I fostered a nice ensemble attitude and took the green people like Joey and helped them
Yeah.
along.
Oh yeah, put me under your wing.
Put you under your wing. And,
It's really easy to grab my
Suffocated you.
coattails while I'm under your wing.
whoa. That's too much truth right now.
Oh,
And you wouldn't break character on set.
I never would break
Yeah,
character on
that
set.
That was.
I
too
told the
much.
weather to everybody who walked by.
That is not true. Johnny Nimbus never once did the
never
weather.
actually did the weather.
Weather poems is the closest you came to the weather.
It is. It's funny. It's
And-
like I have had requests like on Instagram lives or things like that. It's like, oh, could you do a poem? I'm like, I had writers. I know it's just hickory dickory dock, but I can't think of it. Oh, people. But let's get into that. You guys, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and my
Oh,
career. I can't speak
please.
for Joey.
No, I want to hear Joey say it.
Say the words.
Yeah, thanks again.
But
Great starting point.
tell us. Let's get to the past of you dudes. As far as where did you start off? Where'd you meet? How did you become a team of writers?
Well, Ron and I met at Syracuse. He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Okay.
And threw really cool parties
Oh,
when we worked at the
you
student
threw
TV.
parties?
Oh yeah,
Wow,
That used to be
it
fun.
used to be fun.
that's cool. What kind of parties were they? Like food-centric parties? Like, was it like we
do
got
you
a
consider
fondue thing?
beer a food?
Yeah.
Vodka and infused blueberries.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Syracuse, fucking orange. Love it.
You're sporting it today. I love
That's
that you
right.
represent
Got
it.
Otto right here.
That'll be for the pictures later, for the post. Yeah, we have make sure we do pictures.
Okay.
Get our social media person on this.
You want to talk about this more on
Yeah,
the show? Or should
I
we
do.
wait for-
I know. I'm not always see.
Wow, it's like we're behind the scenes.
I know it
Exactly.
is. It is.
So Ron and I worked at the student TV station together at Syracuse. It used to be called UUTV. Now it's called Citrus TV, I think.
No one knows.
I think that's the name of it
Cares.
now.
Yeah.
But you worked on in college TV station.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Ron graduated and came out to L.A., and then I came out
Did
after him,
everything
and we
wrong.
ended up at a finding each other at a party and just ended up writing together after that in '95.
Wow.
By the time he came out here, I had already like burned through like all of my shit-eating years in Hollywood, and I think I was working for the manager then, right?
Yeah.
And we,
But you had burned through becoming.
I was like the worst PA in history.
What shows did you get to work on?
You know, they were sitcoms in the mid '90s that nobody's ever heard of. Joe's Life, Me and the Boys.
But this was years after Ron
Yeah.
came out here and decided he wanted
That was
to
the Steve Harvey
have his
show?
Kerouac
Yeah,
moment.
exactly.
And he was a cab driver for a while, and he was a maid.
I was really good at those things
Oh,
too.
Yeah.
So when he moved out, I was writing porn. Actually, that was like the
Were you?
yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Actually, this is like kind of a porny neighborhood.
It is kind of very funny. Yeah.
So yeah, I had basically I was trying to be a writer. I had a couple of partners that I tried out and just didn't like. I remember I had one writing partner. We literally said one day, "Okay, we're gonna produce more pages of a script than empty beer cans," and we failed miserably. It was like 3 to 40, something like that. So
I took him away from all that.
yeah.
My name is Charlie. Joey, that's a reference to a TV show that was on in the 70s called Charlie's Angels.
Okay. Well aware. That's those 3 women that think they can do what men
women,
can.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, was it really you turning it around, or was he did he do all the shit that you didn't have to do it?
Once I got out here, Ron's advice was like, yeah, you should just get a PA job right away and not do the bullshit I did. So I started out getting lunch
It's
for...
nice to have a mentor like that.
Oh, yes. That's what I would call Ron as a mentor.
I mean, it was probably one of 70 people that said it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Because it's like what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Ron likes to be contrary.
Yeah.
You're like, gotta blaze my own trail.
Exactly.
Oh, and he did.
There was blazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, then I got a job as an assistant on PA on Boy Meets World and get lunch for Corey and Topanga, which was really cool because all the writers who were on Boy Meets World, who I used to get lunches for on a daily basis, then ended up becoming the writers who were on Girl Meets World, which was a sister show of Liv and Maddie on the Disney Channel. So as they tried to learn the Disney Channel world, they were kind of hanging out on set and were like, oh, would it be okay if we went over? I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want, man. You guys want me to get you a sandwich for old time's sake? I'll go down to Kukru. We'll have ourselves a day. So it was nice being able to see the people who you looked up to when I was first starting out and kind of becoming peers.
Your colleagues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking down.
So one day, Joey, one day.
Wow, I
One
can't
day.
wait. Yeah. Me and those guys at Toys R Us looking at each other. Like, oh.
Now I'm the manager. I'm the stock manager at Toys R Us.
And now I'm
Dream.
in charge of putting those action figures on the
Now I'm
shelf
inside the
instead of
Jeffrey costume.
But what was the first attempt that you guys got together and collaborated on that was successful?
We got together and wrote specs, and that got us into the Warner Brothers Writers Workshop.
Was there any particular shows at the time that were hot that everybody wanted to write specs? Like I remember when I came out, it was like Seinfeld, or Ray. Everybody loves Raymond, or something like that.
We both were fans of News Radio. That was the first
that's
script
We
we
love
wrote.
that show.
It was, we really loved it, and I think it was a pretty good spec. And then we got into the Warner Brothers program, and you're supposed to write a spec there, and we wrote Frasier because that was the hot thing.
We were
Right.
trying to be
Nice.
impressive and show everybody how fancy we were.
Right.
And it turns
Smart.
out it was incredibly not smart.
Oh,
Because
really?
we are very not fancy.
Yeah.
And as we went through hitting the thesaurus button to try and find a fancy way to say it was the worst Frasier spec in the history of Frasier specs.
Because they
What was the idea of the episode? Do you remember?
there was part of the workshop back then. I don't know what it's like now, but you actually it was step by step how you wrote a script. And one of the first things you did was you would pitch out an episode,
Right.
And they would bring in an executive producer to come in and listen. And we had to have 5 story ideas, and we had 4 that we knew were dynamite.
That we really liked.
And we're like, we're not even going to get past number 1 because this is so
Because
gold.
we're that good.
And then, like, it was literally like, we're like, oh, we're looking at the paperwork. Oh, we have to have 5. Like, so we better come up with one. And we came up with it. And it was like, wasn't it like they won a contest or something?
Somebody won a contest to go to Acapulco or something.
Right. Which is like where the first note was like,
Fraser would never go to Acapulco.
Right.
Oh, we didn't know that. We thought that
Acapulco-
was a fancy place you went to.
Acapulco's apparently.
Had a hard K sound. We went with Acapulco.
Right. It was like what, Joss, that's like what you win on Price is Right. So,
Yeah, I guess
be
that's
nice.
what fancy people do.
Fraser would love them.
Yeah, so we bombed out there, and needless to say, we pitched out all the areas, and then the 5th one was the simplest, and they were like, "Oh yeah, pick that one, do that one." It was like, "Oh shit!" So that's when we learned: never pitch something that you aren't 100% sure that you can pull off, because someone will inevitably pick that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The episode where Marty gets a jetpack and Niles wants to try it out.
Oh,
and
if
Fraser's not
only,
gonna let
if
him.
only there was. I think people killing ants or something because they needed a fumigator. Or something. It was terrible. So needless to say, we did not impress in the Warner Brothers Writers Workshop and had to continue to write after that.
Well,
for
you guys are well aware
3-4
Frasier's
years.
my favorite show. So
Yeah.
please send me that.
Please keep
back.
writing. Yeah, send that script.
If
We
I
will
can find
act
it, I will
out.
send that to you.
Will you?
It-
Yeah. Could we act it out on the
do a
show?
reading
Let's do
of
an
it.
Oh,
episode.
dear.
Oh,
Oh,
we
that'd
can do a
be
live
fantastic.
reading of it.
you know what? I may have that somewhere. I'll send
Please.
it to you.
I would
I have
love
it in a
it.
box somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
In
I
my
have the porn
second-
scripts too. You want to read those?
I do want to read those. I'll also act those out. I am looking for work.
Writing for porn must be so much fun. And then she takes control for a change.
Is there any point that you took those scripts as like part of your book, like your resume, like to people like I've been writing this? I don't know if you want to
Ignore
look
the double
at it.
penetration part, but the real
Yeah.
story arc is
I
through
feel
the
like-
ice cream.
I feel like we did actually.
There was
give it
character
to someone.
development. I
Yeah.
thought is really.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, it came up in meetings a lot. You know, it's just like funny stories to tell. But I mean, the actual like writing, you don't write the sex stuff. It was all like the lead up to that. You know, it was just like the story, and it was literally like they would
First,
say,
there's an algebra problem you have to do.
Right.
to-
they're like, okay,
For
you,
real?
you
Really?
have
Oh, yeah.
the producer would come to me and goes like, okay, we're shooting a movie we have 7 characters, 4 are girls and 3 are boys. 2 girls are doing 2 scenes. One's doing anal. One is doing with a toy. There's 3 sets. There's a bedroom, a kitchen, and an office, and basically he'd give me all these like stats, and then you'd have to sit down and go, okay, girl A is gonna have sex with guy B, and then girl B will have sex with guy. You
It's just like Woody Allen's process.
right, and you can't you can't have the same people having sex twice. You had to have a certain number of
because we've
sex
already seen
acts.
To mix it up, yeah.
Too much.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you had to like recycle, and also you had to like if a guy is in 2 scenes, you had to put it at the beginning and the end of the show because they would film them in order, otherwise they get confused. So you needed to give the guy a little time to get back in character.
Then your character goes and waits and thinks about his grandma for a second.
Drink some pineapple juice and he hangs out for a while.
And they were 15 pages. Like it was a
Wow.
2-hour movie with
Yeah.
a 15-page script.
Oh my god! I wonder how those writers that like took it seriously feel now. They're like, everybody's just skipping through all the good parts.
Ron, can I call you in here? There's something wrong with the script. Jeff would never go to Acapulco. I don't know why. Can't he just go to Van Nuys?
Why is every plot revolve around somebody winning a contest?
So you guys, you get together, you're writing, you're on the low rung. What was the first step into like the real business as far as like you guys writing for somebody?
Well, we did a bunch of outside freelance episodes for MTV and for Fox Family Channel, and just kind of bounced around. An episode of Hey Arnold, like freelance episodes that we did to say we were professional writers, even though we weren't professional enough writers to be quitting our day jobs and having that as our
Your real
full-time
thing,
gig.
Yeah.
We finally got our first break on. We wrote a freelance episode of The Hughleys, and that was received well enough. For
That
us.
was because John was the responsible person going through. Like he was the script
Looking for
supervisor,
jobs.
coordinator.
Oh,
Yeah, to
he
this
was
day,
he was on the show, and they were like, "Oh, hey, you're not an asshole." Unlike when I was on a show, and people would be like, "Just stay away from
stay away
him."
from me.
So they gave him a chance to pitch, and he brought me in, and we pitched. Do we pitch to them, or they give us the episode?
we pitched to them, if you recall correctly.
Right.
We pitched to John Bowman and Matt Wickline. we pitched an episode that they needed us to. We pitched on a Friday, and they're like, "We need this by Monday. We're way behind." And so we spent the weekend, cranked out an episode over the weekend, and then came in on Monday only to find out they hadn't pitched it to the network yet.
Oh, jeez.
And they pitched it to the network. It was very kid-centric. It was a family show, so we kind of were focused on the kids. And it
was the studio.
The studio, I'm sorry. The studio decided they didn't want to do that episode because it was too kid-centric, because they didn't want they felt it would put the show on TGIF. So we busted our asses to get this episode sold and written, and then it got thrown out and we had no contract. So we were just kind of out of luck at that point. And
do you get paid for any of that? No,
because there's no contract. But I mean, the people there liked us enough that they knew that we wrote so quickly and felt bad that they had put us in a bad situation, that the next Friday came around. They're like, "Okay, listen, this is the episode we need to write. It's going to be our
deal wins a contest."
No, it's going to be our season 1 finale. We need it by Monday, and we have not had a chance to go pitch this again. So we just kind of had to take the leap of faith.
I feel like they were playing you guys.
Yeah, one would think.
No. Nice I think the way you're telling the story, it sounds like they were working us, but the writers were incredibly
supportive and helpful.
Okay. The politics behind the show was very fraught at that point, because they were coming up to the end of their first season. They didn't know if they were going to get renewed, and they were worried about how the show was being perceived. So they were working on a lot of things that had nothing to do with. So we were very fortunate to get the break that we did.
So we turned that in on Monday, which and then this time they happened to get it approved, and it was a really fantastic episode that actually got reviewed in the Reporter. And it's this episode shows promise for season 2. And we were fortunate enough to be put onto the writing staff for season 2, and stuck with the Hughleys for the rest of the run. And coincidentally enough, season 2 we ended up on TGIF because
of course,
right?
Because that was where family comedies went. Then
is that their old family channel?
I don't know why they were fighting against it. What's that?
That's their old family channel, TGIF.
It was
TGIF was like the Friday night lineup where you had
Full House.
Actually,
was
the shows that are now on
Yeah.
Disney Channel or Nickelodeon used to be on ABC Friday nights.
Oh, okay.
Before they had...
like Full House, like family centric sitcoms.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, that's why I feel like you guys kind of took that attitude toward something like Liv and Maddie, where a lot of people years ago, before Liv and Maddie, maybe like 5-10 years before that, it was rough. Like a lot of the shows, if Disney almost had a stink to it, like, oh, it's these kids shows, and they didn't have that. But you guys, and there's a few other Disney shows that did it, but I think you guys did a great job of making it more accessible to a lot more age ranges, and not just talking down to kids or just being silly or whatever. But you kind of had that TGIF.
Yeah, that was always our hope. Is we came from network television and didn't want to do a show that was just. We knew it was for kids, but we wanted to do a show that the entire family could watch together, because that's the kind of shows that we grew up loving as kids, and knew that, especially as parents ourselves, is like there's. When your kids have a TV show on, boy, you want to be able to sit down and watch it with them and not...
roll your eyes and leave the room or cry.
Yeah, I think we were lucky to come after Good Luck Charlie, which really set that template.
Yeah,
it was such a great show. And, and the first Disney Channel show we worked on was called Shake It Up, and the creator was a guy named Chris Thompson, who came out of, prime time. He was a legendary, sitcom writer, his mentor was Gary Marshall, and so he had a lot of experience, writing the shows, and he said, we're doing a network show, or that's what I'm trying to do, and it's not always going to come out on camera, we'll always there's going to be certain limitations to what we're doing, but that was his goal, and I think we've always tried to do that. Yeah, you want it to be hopefully engaging for everybody, and I think Disney Channel has done a really good job of that. They might have started in that place, but I think once they realized the size of their audience, they really tried to cast a wide net. And I think that was the big thing with Good Luck Charlie, is they realized, oh my God, we could get the parents to watch too.
Right.
So
marketing wise, it makes a lot of sense. But it was a lot of times where people would come up to me and say, "Oh, you're on that Disney show that I really actually enjoy watching with my kids." And it was this weird backhanded compliment. I'm like, "Oh, okay." No, but They want to
'Cause
watch
those other
this
things you've
other
done.
thing, and I'm like, yeah, well.
I get that sometimes. Sometimes I get the parents that are like, just brush it off completely, and and I hate the way they handle it. Where they'll be like, hey, my kid is freaking out. Says you're on some Disney show. I can't stand those shows. Cannot. But my kid loves it. I'm like, just stop talking. Just say your kid loves it. That's all you gotta say. You don't need to reaffirm me that you are an adult.
Like if he owned a restaurant, would you go up to him like, oh, you know what? I can't stand the food in your place.
Ugh.
My kids apparently dig it, so we're here.
I don't have a television myself.
Yeah.
My kids watch you all the time.
Yeah.
On the television I don't have.
Yeah, you should be watching what they're watching. One of our characters is a blatant Nazi.
You guess which one, kids.
Yeah.
We're never going to reveal. We're never going to reveal it. You can ask me all the time.
Spoiler
never gonna
alert,
tell you.
it's Liv.
Oh shit! Damn it! Oh. All right.
For the record, Mr. Joey Bragg is being facetious. Facetious is a word.
Not the Nazi.
means
There's
silly.
somebody else is.
Johnny Nimbus was the Nazi.
Of course.
Everybody knew that. Look at the
You could
haircut.
tell. I gave subtle hand gestures, but nobody could really tell. Well, is that where you did you? I was thinking about that. I did one episode of Shake It Up, but I don't remember. I don't think
We were season 1 of Shake It Up.
Oh, okay, so I was.
I
later.
I mean,
later on.
I'm sure Suzanne Goddard-Smith probably brought you in.
yeah.
She came in actually there the year after we left as well, so we didn't know her there. But
The casting director.
the casting director on Liv and Maddie as well. So she's the one who brought you in.
She was smart enough to know that I could do a talk show host or a hosty type person.
Yeah.
Again,
Yep.
and look at me now.
Look at you now. Hosting the show.
Haven't heard from her since. No. Just kidding. No, it's so. Tell me about that. The Liv and Maddie Genesis. I mean, it's like no other that I've heard as far as a show getting picked up and going. Like this, it was kind of. It's amazing that it actually got to where it got to. Right?
Yes. It
Yeah.
should never have made it on the air. I think.
No.
By all rights, it was.
Yeah.
So our first, like when we were on Shake It Up, Disney Channel approached us about developing a show, and they introduced us to Andy Fickman and Betsy Sullinger, who they wanted to be in business with, and we really hit it off with them. And Andy had sold them on this idea where the idea was there's a show where the parents were vets, and we listened to for 10 minutes, and I honestly thought he meant Army vets, and he meant veterinarians, and then he started talking about the animals and whatever. So we sold that to Disney Channel, and we were ready to write it, and then they were like, how are we going to film a show with kids and animals?
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's what we said.
we said that too.
We said that like months ago.
You seem to want to do
But
that.
then we thought about it, and we decided we were right. Wait, what?
Yep. So you're welcome.
Exactly.
Fix it.
So we talked about a couple of other ideas, but then we had already written a spec pilot, like a writing sample that was it came out of we worked on a show called According to Jim for 7 years, and got involved as executive producers then. And one of the things we noticed was because of the time constraints, we were cutting jokes to keep the stories alive. So we ended up coming up with this idea for a show where
Basically, they started selling more commercials on network, and we found that even from the beginning of According to Jim to the end of According to Jim, there was like a minute and a half less running time, so they could sell more commercials. And there were things that used to be the fun part that you would remember from TV shows back in our era.
of course, the Happy Days,
the
or
funny
whatever,
header
yeah.
of something completely
The Jeffersons.
random that happened before the story kind of took off.
Yeah.
And we realized, okay, all of that stuff kind of has to get cut so you can service the same stories that we've been
Same
telling
reason why
for-
there's no more theme songs or opening intros
Exactly.
for shows or anything.
And then you were like,
Right.
what if they don't even have a story?
Yeah,
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
We decided, what if the TV gods decided, what if we got rid of the stories and just kept those moments? And so we wrote we wrote a spec script called Family Jewels that was based on that concept. And
so it was basically like a sketch show, but with a family.
like
It was
Reno 911.
Yeah, it was just moments in their lives, and it was written as a writing sample, so it was incredibly crude. It was really, because we were coming off of a family show and trying to show people we can write adult characters, and but Disney Channel saw the idea of the show, even though the content wasn't right for them. They're like, we think this could work, so they had us write a new script, and we ended up filming a pilot called Bits and Pieces with
That's where we met young Joey.
right with the Rooney family. The Rooney
Right.
family was in it, and it was a great pilot. We are very proud of it. We loved it, and we tested it, and I think the moment when I realized it probably wasn't going to go was we were watching the testing, and they would do this thing where they would take like the headshots of the actors. And
who's this? Who's looking at it?
They were like
Disney execs.
No, these were kids. There was
kids were
a
watching.
focus group testing.
Okay.
In like a, there's like a few an executive and a couple people like were behind like a mirror, and I think John was. I was actually in Chicago because I was visiting my family, and John was like watching it on Skype or something. And but they would take the photos and be like, because there was Kali and Ben and Joey and Dove and Cozy Zulzarf was in it, and Tenzing, and they would ask them basically who goes with who.
It was a blended family, we should mention.
Right. It was like the parents had. This was their second.
It's like a Brady Bunch sort of.
Exactly. And literally every kid would put different headshots. And Joey would always end up on the side, like, we don't know who he is.
We don't know
like
where
that.
he belongs.
Somehow Tenzing would be like,
Tenzing, the little
oh yeah, he
brown
looks
Asian kid.
he looks just like Ben.
Yeah.
So
funny.
I think it was
Basically, when they asked kids, what do you think episode 2 would be, they weren't able to say that because it was such a different type of format, and the cast tested so well that they knew that they had something special that was had potential to be the face of their network, but they were scared to try this concept that hadn't been really done before, and they didn't want to waste this lightning in a bottle that they found with this cast, so they were trying to figure out if they could move forward with a different type of concept. And we had heard that the head of the network had always been a fan of the Patty Duke show, and kind of back channel over the next 6 months while they were kind of trying to decide to make a decision on Bits and Pieces or not, we kind of side developed this idea where Dove played identical twins. We would keep the family together and basically the same humor. And frankly, much of the original Bits and Pieces pilot itself, because they were just little moments and not a story, kind of ended up finding their way into 4 seasons of Liv and Maddie in one form or another. And although Joey's name was not Joey in the original pilot, he was Sticky.
Sticky.
Yeah. Which still,
are you a little
every
upset?
time, oh no, I love that it's Joey. That's my favorite thing. Especially
You're like the
because
Tony Danza of
I get-
Disney.
Well,
I
we
get
figured
kids-
Joey would be able to remember that name.
no,
Joey.
didn't
A lot
he
easier.
call himself Joey like a couple of times?
Oh yeah, during the pilot.
We were like,
sometimes
why are
she
we fighting
referred-
this? It's
Yeah.
never
I
gonna.
called myself
Referred to himself
Joey.
as Joey instead of Sticky. You're like, this is going to
absolutely.
save us
Right.
hours of reshoots on stage if we just name him that.
It was the easiest.
We also put your name on your locker in magnets, so you would know which locker to go to.
Yeah. Open it up. Got it. Remember. Okay. Joey. It's a lot easier for me. I still find myself like I was so spoiled with like my first big job being Joey because I'm virtually playing an exaggerated maybe version of myself with the same name, and now I'm like going to other projects. I'm like, you expect me to do other things? I'm really an interesting guy if you get to know me and let me just do Joey.
Well, that was the funny part is we were creating the Joey/Sticky character. Initially, they were like, well, shouldn't this character be like the cool football guy? And we're like, well, this character's kind of cool. Other people just don't know it yet. And they're like, what are you talking about? They're very intent on making sure we got this character right. So we created a term for the character of Sticky, who became Joey. We said he's confidently awkward.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is that a thing? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big thing
Kids
right
talk
Also,
about
how
that.
I-
Oh,
how
now. And then we
Hours.
realized, we weren't just completely full of shit. That kind of is a thing.
It
now.
is.
That's
a
how I
thing,
describe myself before you guys even confidently awkward. I know that's fine. I'm confident. I was always confident, but nobody was like. People were like, why?
We were.
Why are you so confident?
Have you seen Napoleon Dynamite?
That's what we said. Is
Yeah.
people just hadn't figured out like the Joey Rooney experience yet. And as soon as they did, they were going to catch on and know
People
that.
fell in love.
God,
Exactly.
Let's turn this podcast into.
But
a talk
then
about
when
me.
Right?
they were like, okay, so this just Joey character from the pilot of Bits and Pieces to the series, they're like, we do have to find a way to cool up this Sticky character. I'm like, well, what if we called him Joey?
yeah.
I like that. That is
Yeah.
much different than Sticky.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
literally like when they draw the sunglasses on Pooch.
Yeah.
Oh, now
I relate to this guy.
Oh, I like that. He looks like a
to
Joey.
me.
But, he is Joey. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
The whole network is like, yes.
Finally.
But I mean, that is not the standard TV model where you shoot something completely different and then go to series as a whole new show.
Yeah.
But what really worked was we got to spend all these time with the actors, And I think that did feed into the fact that you were playing yourself, essentially. We got to know you a little better. I mean, John's right. We really
knew your
did.
strengths, we knew your weaknesses.
Right. We really did write you, like that character, and then you showed up, which was weird. But then once you were there, we tweaked it. And, and then we also, obviously, we realized Dove was insanely talented, and we could write to that. Kali is, like, so quirky and weird, and that was, like, really fun to try to capture her voice, because she's just so specific. And so I don't think this is a way like anyone is going to do business, but it ended up being a really great way to develop a show because we got to develop the cast,
right?
Which was really fortunate.
Well, as an actor, it's definitely reassuring and feels good to know that just so many like little boxes that networks are trying to tick as far as who they're selling to and who's going to watch, and so they have to hit certain demographics. But to know that when I came on board and you see this group of people that are so insanely talented and so great together, I mean, it was unlike any other set. I've been around, guys, but you go on sets. I mean, there was always it was such a different feel of like these people. Everybody respected each other. Everybody was really great as far as performance. But there was, I mean, you don't get that often. I mean, most people, somebody's got an attitude. Somebody walks off set. Somebody doesn't communicate with anybody else, or somebody's a diva. I mean, that stuff happens later on, 7th or 8th, season. But
we cut it off right before we could get that.
Yeah, you got to cut it off before you get that far.
Well, my rule is always on every show, there's one asshole.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who it is,
why are you looking at me?
It's you.
It's you.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
That was my favorite.
Our goal was always if we could be the biggest assholes, that must be that everybody else is going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
That's great.
And I succeeded.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice job, Ron.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking
You
one for the
win.
team.
Everybody loved you.
But then it's mind blowing to think that a network would stay on board. We're going to keep everybody. Like as an actor, definitely it would be like you get a pilot. If it doesn't go, you're done. You're off. You're moving on. But for them to say that was so great, and then to retool it, and then boom, did Liv and Maddie test it well? I came aboard. It was the Beck and Hart project when I did my episode.
Oh my God, there were so many meetings about the title, and I mean, literally one of the things we said is we don't want to be an Ampersand show,
Right?
There were so many at the time, and
Austin and Alley,
right?
Zach and Cody.
Zach and
Exactly.
Cody, yeah.
Even like Phineas and Ferb, and
Yeah.
eventually it ended up being and rather than Ampersand, and that was
For one day, it was apostrophe and apostrophe.
right.
I liked it
yeah.
when it was an apostrophe because we were filming the episode where Ben had to like say the title of the show.
Ben.
Liv and Maddie, yeah.
Liv and Maddie.
It wasn't Liv and Maddie. It was Liv and Maddie.
Yeah.
Live in.
You got to
So
say it
he
a
had-
couple times because it's in the promo. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Just pick a name, people.
You
Liv and
haven't
Maddie.
been Liv and Maddie. You've always been Liv and Maddie.
At one point,
One
we
more
were
time.
Gemini.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one girl was named Gem and the other girl was something else.
I'll tell you what.
Gem-
Every
there were so
every
many
person
different
over
things.
the age of 14 that asked me what show I was on, and I say Liv and Maddie, they go, "Oh, Living Madly." Okay.
Yep.
Yep. No,
Got
no.
that
No,
too.
you not a fan, huh?
Google it.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. But that gets that was what? How many years ago now?
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah. Too long.
And so Johnny
Yeah.
Nimbus was basically what sold it.
Sure.
To the networks?
We knew we had
That was
a show before Johnny Nimbus.
Right?
showed
Yeah,
up.
you definitely
Once
had a
Johnny
show.
Nimbus showed up, we knew we had a series.
You had a series. Thank you. I knew that was
Some would say he was the emotional center of the entire Disney Channel universe.
right.
Others would say, "Who? Oh, that
I'm
guy."
sorry.
I guess.
I'm sorry, did we show Joey's wedding? No.
No,
Yeah. No, you didn't.
No, you did not.
Was the wedding about Johnny Nimbus? No, it was
How
not.
dare you?
That leads me to one of my fan questions. I did go on an Instagram Live yesterday and ask some of the fans out there what they would ask you guys. One of the questions was, will there be a movie? Like a reunion movie later on.
From your lips to God's ears, we do that in a heartbeat.
yeah.
Oh,
that'd be
that would be really fun.
What would have to be what would be the justification?
Maddie is going into the WNBA and she breaks her ankle again. Stupid
Again.
bitch.
Oh.
I
Liv
think it would
has
be
to
called
switch a Rooney.
Johnny Nimbus's horrible accident a Rooney.
Oh, the Nimbus funeral.
See, this is why they always tease me. We'd like to have you back next season, but you'll be just dead the whole time.
Your
And for a
ghost
whole
may show
summer.
Now played by John Michael Higgins. Johnny Nimbus.
It's weird.
Oh, that would be so
Oh,
funny. He's
yeah.
good. That
He's
guy's
great.
good.
That
You know, it
is
would be a great
talented.
Kurt Long as Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Oh.
Whoa! That would be an honor. I would actually step
Oh.
down if Kathy Bates played Johnny Nimbus for a special episode.
I like how many people like on those Instagram lives would go like,
Play
just-
Charlie on 2.5 Men.
What's
Yeah.
We gotta be honest something here.
It's true.
People come to me or on like Instagram and stuff. They'll be like, "Just please come back for like a few more episodes or do a movie." I'm like, "It's not. I think it's not like I was like, all right, time to wrap this up. We're done,
guys.
Half-Life. Time to shut it down. I want to do Criminal Minds now."
Joey Rooney is dead. He's over. He's lived the life he should, and he's done.
I have a hard time not playing Joey Rooney still. Like I was just so that was just like so much of me. Like I would find a choice and I would trust it, and I just found the character that now I'm like going to do other things, and I'll like watch a tape and I'm like, that's Joey Rooney again. That's Joey Rooney, but then I slap somebody, or it's Joey Rooney and I'm gay.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same. I have a hard time not playing that.
Joey is an older actor. Let me tell you, that's the only way to keep working.
Yeah.
Just find whatever you're good at and just do it in different variations
So who
over
told
and over
you
again.
that?
Except your
I
lack of
learned it
range.
the hard way.
Yeah,
Because here's the thing: if you show up and you're not playing Joey Rooney, they're gonna say, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we
You know-
kind of hired you to kind of do Joey Rooney,
I always
but
tell-
with a little sillier voice."
Yeah.
That's what, and when I did that episode.
Or
of
this time you slap people.
When I did that episode in Thundermans, I like screamed at one point. I just did my high pitch normal scream, and they were like, "Great, love it, let's do that." I was like, that's pretty much what the other character
Yeah.
was.
Yep.
Exactly.
And the only
Yeah.
disconnect was that I wasn't. Going
By
to
the
that
way, you
scream.
should know that the people at Thundermans absolutely loved you. I'm assuming we're allowed to talk.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can talk about
Oh,
it. It's
yeah.
not out yet.
Yeah.
But
Do you know who else is going to love it? America.
America,
Oh no,
They're
that's a
already
global
pre-loving
show,
it.
man.
Oh,
The
yeah.
world is going
That
to love
show
that.
Yeah.
is huge.
and they're all over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Was it
3?
Oh, and the other another fan question, just because I'm thinking about it. Did you get any guff from people who were twins and wonder why you didn't cast twins? Was that ever a problem?
We do hear
The twin community?
A lot of not from the twin community. They love that we were doing that. You do a lot of people do feel fooled
Yeah.
and are upset about once they find out that we did not get actual twins. Well, there are people who call us lazy for not looking for actual twins. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of missing the point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a lot
not the
harder
idea.
to do.
It's
Yes.
a lot. Yeah, that would have been a lot easier.
I could assure you we were not being lazy.
No.
But yeah, there are people who are like, why couldn't they find actual twins? It's like, well, the point was to find to see if you could create two separate characters out of one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But twins usually aren't upset. Twins are usually pretty happy that
Yeah,
that
it's
they're
their
except
show.
except for twins who are wanting to be actresses and wish they could have had the part.
Well, yeah, and that's not a huge swell. I guess it is fairly big. I mean, the Olsen twins.
Yeah.
Were they upset?
Look how they turned out.
They
Yeah.
didn't play twins, though.
No, they never did.
No, it's much
they did.
easier
They
to
played
take
one
twins and make them
See?
play one person.
Yeah.
than
They
to take
flipped
one
it
person and
around.
make them
That's
twins.
I was
The
upset
opposite
at the
way.
time as a single actor. I was like, how dare you make two people play one? You couldn't have found one person to do the part?
We had a handful of twins in our. We had twins playing Liv and Maddie when they were little girls.
Yeah.
We had twins. I had other twins, didn't we? No, maybe I'm thinking.
You
of
employed
something
twins because of this.
else. There's a lot of working twins. They
At
should,
one
they
point,
should
there
be,
were twins who both showed up and were background actors, and they had them on the opposite side of the stage. And you'd see like this twin on the left hand side, then you cut the reaction behind Maddie, and the other twin was there, and it's like, okay, we can't have this because it looks like this person is just going back and
Yeah.
forth, and you're kind of ruining the illusion of playing two different people. So we got to pick a side for both twin sisters to be in the background, and put them there. And I'm happy to feature them, and that is fine.
Or just cut the
We
sporty
can't have
one.
them on either side, or else it looks like it's a secret twin school. That's,
yeah.
or
like
it's
we're-
the same person.
Or like you see that
twinsist.
YouTube video, like 4 times shows you loved made a huge mistake. It's gonna be in a BuzzFeed.
On a
article.
BuzzFeed.
That's what, I can't wait. I can't wait until that BuzzFeed article of where they now live in Maddie. Doug, successful, Tenzing, lawyer, Joey, still dead.
Wow.
Still living.
That's... Yeah, we got to watch out for that.
What?
This is no,
Dead show?
What?
So you were able to see that. Is this like if you were done with the business? Would you look to Liv and Maddie? Would that be like, yeah, we're good. We succeeded.
We were unbelievably
What if you
proud.
heard? Are we done?
That's what we'll get. We're gonna get to that pretty soon. But I always feel like that. Like when I feel like doing that show for you, what I did. I mean, like obviously I still want to work, but at least I could walk away. I could. If somebody said, "Kurt, you're done. You're never gonna work in town again." I'm like, you know what? I had pretty much like that was pretty much what. The best experience all around, from top to bottom, from booking it, from the people I worked with, from the time I got to spend on set. I mean, I couldn't think of a much better way to go about it.
I'm not nearly satisfied.
Yeah.
Ready for the Marvel
Again,
movie.
again. Well, that's the youth thing. And at your age, I probably would have said, fuck that. Give me something else.
No, I constantly said on the show, I was incredibly spoiled by that being like my first big job. Because going from that and then going to other things, it's impossible. Going from that and going to, I mean, a lot of people will say like, oh, you were a series regular. Like going from a series regular to not a series regular is a wake-up call or whatever. But it is just, there's nothing of that complete 100% camaraderie that Liv and Maddie had. There are shows where they hate the set deck guy, or they hate, there's never that like.
We just had Ron.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's what I do. I bring people together.
We were incredibly fortunate to have such a special group, and we were ridiculously proud of the product that we created and the world we created and the show that we lived. But we're frankly even more proud of seeing how well prepared everybody has been for what they've gone on to next. Joey's got several series and several movies under his belt since then. Dub has gone on to other things. And is doing plenty of Descendants related stuff and
fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's got to kill you.
Frustrates me so bad.
That's got to kill you. She's being a superhero.
God, yeah, she's being a superhero. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And you wanted to win Dancing on the Stars, just like Jordan too, right?
Yeah. No, there's a lot
Next year,
things.
next year it's going to happen.
We always said we were dads first and producers second, and it was really important for us to make sure that not only were we getting what we needed performance-wise from our actors for Liv and Maddie, but also preparing everybody to do the discipline to do whatever it is you do next, whether that is your next project or whether that's, high school and preparing discipline for, classwork in high school or, going off to college or you name it. The things that we spend a little extra time kind of teaching everybody on Liv and Maddie, we are very proud to see everybody continuing to use and continuing to be the best versions of themselves, Joseph.
For you
despite your
too,
haircut, which you need to get.
You and Ron
lack
both. Thereof.
You and Ron both need haircuts. It's frankly offensive.
Yeah, you guys are. Yeah,
now that we're adults, they give us whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. Now you guys can go drink together. Isn't that weird? Now that you can go drink with young Joey.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
It doesn't seem like a good idea
probably
for
not.
anyone.
But that being said, from you guys, it also goes the other way around. I mean, you guys are doing Night Squad now on Nickelodeon. You've amassed
that is so fun.
Yeah, right.
Lots and lots of fans.
You got Amar, who is a Liv and Maddie alum.
Amar,
he's killing it. Tenzing, Emmy did one.
Emmy did one.
Jimmy
Bellinger came in.
Yeah.
And a really fantastic group of kids. We've got Daniela and Lexi and Lilamar and Savannah and Amar and Owen and Seth. And
the guy
I wasn't listening to you, so I don't know who you forgot.
All the
people,
Jason. A lot of people.
Jason,
Kelly Perrine, Perrine.
Wow.
Perrine, I think.
Well,
we should know
we'll
that.
edit that part out.
All the other ones, so you just screwed up on the last one.
That's why I exclude everybody. That way I don't offend anybody.
So we're thrilled for that. Everybody's having fun there.
And it's cool.
And when we're going to see this Night Squad?
I don't think it has a release date yet.
Sometime in February, maybe. So look for that.
I'm not sure.
Early part of 2018, as I understand it.
I don't know.
Maybe the spring. I don't know.
We're not sure.
We're not sure. You're not supposed to say?
They're not supposed.
We honestly do not know.
We do not know.
Yeah, okay. I don't think Nickelodeon has a firm.
We could say the words Night Squad though. We could say okay.
You could say hashtag Night Squad.
Hashtag Night Squad. Yeah, get it out there.
But we do know that the second half of season 1 of Disjointed will be on Netflix on January 12th.
January 12th.
That'll be
a week and a half away.
Yeah, this is dropping on the 8th. Yeah, so this is dropping next week.
This is timely then.
It's very timely. That's why we get it. So make sure you get your Netflix. If you don't, guys, by the way, Netflix is this cool thing. It used to be DVDs in the mail, right? And so you would get them, and then you put them in your DVD. Joe, DVD players were like these things that had they look like compact disc. No. It had a little slot when you put a disc in it.
So it's like a website that you put a disc in?
No. See, well, that's why they got rid of that part, Joey. Now it's just a website where you watch TV shows and, Black Mirror and stuff like that.
That's all I know.
And Disjointed. Yeah, that's all you know.
Coming out January 12th?
January 12th.
January 12th.
Season 1.
I hope that Netflix takes off.
I really hope so, too.
Yeah,
I know. Just in time for my Happy Madison.
And we do have one Liv and Maddie crossover on Disjointed. If you
look
very closely,
you
will see Taylor Minion in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm still waiting for my call on Disjointed season 2. So.
We tried calling you. You were off shooting movies.
Yeah.
You're too busy. You cut the character anyway, so we both lost.
I would like to be
that character came back.
Oh, fucker.
I put my hat in the ring for either Night Squad or Disjointed, but I know we already had a whole talk about Disjointed, and my manager screwed that up, and I'm mad at him.
They need someone to clean the stage after they wrap.
Do you have a new caterer? Position?
No,
anything like that?
That's you're not good enough for that.
The disjointed caterer is
maybe is an
It's a very important position.
Oh, the disjointed caterer, I'm sure, is pretty top notch.
Yeah.
Oh, they got to have that stuff.
That's
handled.
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, some munchies available.
I just talking about Disjointed. There's like a weird stigma with weed culture that it's put in more of like a medicinal, habitual, chiller thing in Disjointed than it has been in pretty much anything. I mean, there are still parts in Disjointed where they go into like the psychedelic commercials that I feel like are a little bit of a misrepresentation of what weed actually is now. Do you feel like it's a show where you're trying to show people that there are like dispensaries and some people use it for anxiety or depression, or it's a lot less violent than alcohol, or do you feel that it's just another platform for like a sitcom?
That's a great question. I mean, the guy who created the show, David Jaberbaum, is pretty passionate about this. And he had, there was a cannabis consultant on the show, Dr. Dina, who is now the first person in the LA area selling adult use. And, I mean, it's very important to her. I think there was a lot of thought about how it's being shown. And DJ definitely wanted it presented as this thing that is helping people. And you're seeing it like, people using it for reasons other than getting high. Yeah. At the same time, though, he's making a comedy show. And I think that's definitely like the Chuck Lorre of it. Like, Chuck has a show called, Mom, where the characters are in recovery and they're talking about drug use is sort of like, the stigma side that you're talking about. That's not what the show that they wanted to do. They really wanted to show also like the sort of joy of cannabis. And it really, I think, at its heart is sort of like Cheers, where it's like, it's sort of like weed is there and it's in the background, but it like the way that booze was at Cheers, but it isn't, I don't think, the focus of the show. So I think the new perception of pot that you're talking about, I think that's sort of, and I'm not trying to make a pun, it's baked in to what he was trying to do.
He was trying to make that.
That was pretty good.
But Ron loves puns.
But it wasn't like, it is not trying to be a political show, overtly like making statements. It was just trying to show that like these are characters that would be organically in this world.
Yeah, and not even trying to make statements. I mean, there are people in Texas that live 90 miles away from any kind of civilization. That's the first time they're seeing anything other than the propaganda against it that they're used to seeing. So it's a big step.
Well, if you look at,
very important, I think, for DJ to show that there are just a bunch of different kinds of lifestyles that, and whatever your preconceived notions of the cannabis lifestyle are, it's more than that. And
right.
Whether you think it's all medicinal and healthy, there's also people who abuse and go overboard like Dank and Dabby just to do what they do.
Right.
If you think it's all just, your Dank and Dabbies that are just complete burnout potheads, you also have people who are working really hard.
How dare you
talk
about Dank and Dabby that way?
Dank and Dabby.
How dare you?
Well, I equate it to something like Cheers. I mean, Cheers is a bar. I mean, when a bar is not much more than a place where people go to
if you
congregate.
dissect Cheers, it's a bunch of awful people who ignore their families and sit around a bar.
Yeah, sit around a bar. Yeah, and Norm drinks a lot. And the joke is he drinks a lot of beer. And, and Sam's a recovering alcoholic, but there's all these other people, And there's no other redeeming thing. It's like, okay, it's a place to congregate and have a good time, but there's no medicinal quality to alcohol. It's poison,
right.
But, I mean, that was a great comedy. Nobody dissected it and be like, took all the fun out of it. Yeah. I mean, a show can still be a show and be funny. But
Disjointed, like one of the first episodes was Nicole Sullivan coming in and getting consulted.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the Tone Bell storyline on the first 10 episodes was really, really powerful. And I think a lot of people... I like what you're talking about. Like, I don't think people have seen that story, like that isn't how weed has been portrayed. There's a storyline in the second 10. I don't know how much we can say about the content of it, but there's a storyline in the second 10 episode that's about weed entrepreneurs. And like, basically, I mean, Ruth is the lead. That's Kathy Bates' character. She runs a dispensary and there's a rival dispensary that we're going to meet in these second 10 episodes. And Ken Marino played the head of that, and he's hilarious. He's so funny, and that is like, it is not a flattering portrait of a weed entrepreneur, and it's just sort of about like, you know, this is a new thing that is like happening in the world. Like there are people that are like, you know, they believe
Frankly,
it
more so now than even
now in California, now it's all
episodes.
legal.
yeah.
And then it's all thrown into tumult now with like.
Oh,
Just
Jeff
morning.
Sessions. Oh, yeah, I was going to say Jeff
I
Sessions
know.
just today.
Woke up this morning to that news.
Great.
Smoked a bowl and was like, "This is stressful."
This is it's all going away again.
Yeah,
So shocking.
It's
Yeah.
never going to go away. I think it's past point of no return. I think that Disjointed is a big part of that. Putting something on the mainstream that is like, you know, not. There's that. Was Khalifa made a movie called? Oh shit! It's like Dak and Devin go to high school or whatever. And it like comes up, and the first thing you see is like this little joint. He's like, "You gotta get stoned to watch this movie. I want you to be stupid stoned." And it's like, it's good, but it's also putting that stigma on like lazy and dumb.
It's not
stoners.
funny unless
Trying to
you're
show
messed
everything.
up. Yeah,
I like
Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
everything.
I like it.
Those alcoholics, some of them are still functional.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Some of them are still coming to set and directing every episode of Liv and Maddie season
Right?
1.
Hello. By the way, one of the funniest things I've ever seen was when you guys were guest stars, or you know, you had cameos on Liv and Maddie. Maybe Ron, I didn't need to see you in a tight green.
I think you did.
Leotard.
I think everyone needed to see
Yeah.
that.
But John, you got to play Andy Fickman.
I did.
Let's like quickly clarify. Andy Fickman is not an alcoholic.
No,
Okay, and now we continue.
A lot of other things.
guys, we have a disclaimer before every show. Don't worry, we're legally bound.
No, in the was it the season finale?
Hi, Andy.
Of,
Yeah,
season
season
finale of season 1.
Yeah,
Ron and I
sounds right.
made little cameos, and we
Yours
decided.
was little. Mine was
Yes,
spectacular.
mine,
Yeah.
there was nothing little about yours.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing that was little.
But
Yeah.
but
Cold set.
the wardrobe and I decided it would be really funny if we had, as my cameo, I dressed up as Andy, and we just happened to guess what Andy would be wearing that day because it was Thursday, and he's relatively predictable. So
Yeah.
he had left the stage. I sat in his director's chair wearing his exact same clothes and exact same glasses, exact same hat, in his exact same position as he came walking in, and he was legitimately confused as to why he was looking at himself sitting in the chair.
Then
Literally, you don't know this part.
Oh.
His favorite picture of him and Dove.
Oh, that's what I was going to
We
bring up.
realized later on. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that's my favorite picture of me and Dove." I'm like, "Andy, that's not you. That's me and Dove. I'm playing you." He's like, "You son of a bitch! Are you kidding me?"
Contacted Betsy Sullinger before the show to talk to her about like what kind of funny stuff, and she told me that story, and I said that's absolutely hilarious. That when Andy's not here, but you know, I don't know what that says about Andy. Like as soon as he was done with the show, he had to get far away as possible in New York,
With Kevin Can Wait.
take off.
That's an amazingly huge, successful show.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Linda and Heather from the writing staff are working on Kevin Can Wait
Yeah,
as
I know.
well.
God,
And,
The namesakes of Linda and Heather from Liv and Maddie.
Yeah,
No, I
Boss
tell you-
Root.
oh.
Boss Root.
The Boss
is,
Man.
Yeah?
Kevin Can Wait now.
Oh, really?
Series regular. Yep.
He's a regular?
Or
Yeah.
he's a heavy recurring and going to be a series regular. I
Yeah,
don't know.
He's
I
there
don't know.
constantly. He's,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there constantly, which is great, which is good. Working with
It's
his
great.
friends.
Everybody's
Also,
working.
Haven't gotten to
Liv
call.
and Maddie, we pick
Joey can
winners.
wait.
We
Joey can
travel.
wait,
Joey
but-
and I
Everybody
will-
keeps working.
Joe and I will go to New York and
Yeah.
audition. Yeah,
Joey and I.
Joe and I.
Well, let's not
No,
start
I'm a-
Ron and Johning ourselves.
Wait, no, but I would like to go to New York. I could still go to New York.
Yeah, you can always go to New York.
But I'd like a
Southwest
job. No, I'd like a job. I want a job.
app. Yeah, you
I mean,
can
if
go
it's-
get a deli job.
Oh, that's
You can
not,
sell
see,
your
this is what I get.
paintings
This,
on the sidewalk.
it's a little too close to the truth, and I don't want to hear it. But let's get to my last question, because I'm keeping you here a long time. It's an hour
Yeah,
already.
Like Bonnie's podcast because it was quick.
You're kind of experiencing now doing the Netflix thing, but how what's the biggest change or the weirdest thing you've had to deal with from what you started out with, the TV network or the TV industry as it was and how it is now with the streaming, everything else? What's the biggest obstacle? Or is anything, is writing just writing, producing just still producing? Is it or is how viewing habits have changed? Because I feel like it definitely changed Disney, and it's kind of the reason why Liv and Maddie ended up leaving, because you know, there was a whole different sort of feel for how their viewers were taking in content.
Yeah.
They're going to the internet. They're going to the apps. They're going to stuff like that. Is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Liv and Maddie was going to sunset anyway. I mean, that's just part of their business model is their audience grows up, so they have to keep
We're the
sort of
last
rotating the
series
product.
there to have done 4 seasons.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and we
Well,
thought,
it's been a year. I mean, so it's not like
I'm just saying.
but still, burning
yeah.
accolade.
No, we had a great run. We're very fortunate to get that chance. I mean, the thing about writing on Disjointed that was new for us is like there's an expectation that the viewer is going to binge this and watch it in a short period of time. So we were consciously again, like we were there for these 10 episodes that are coming out on the 12th. Definitely trying to do storylines that are told over multiple episodes, which was, you know, a writing challenge that was a lot of fun. And, you know, I think we came up with some really funny, cool stuff. There's a romantic relationship with Kathy Bates and Peter Riegert that I thought was exceptional. And there's like I said, there's another dispensary with Ken Marino that's really funny. So that's different. You know, we've also we're on Night Squad, which is on Nickelodeon, which is, you know, broadcast. You know, it's coming out week to week. But the thing that we're doing there that's new is it's a 4-act structure, which I don't think anyone outside of television writing knows what that means. But like, I mean, basically when we were growing up, you'd watch a sitcom, there'd be a commercial in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, it was like you know, the show would start, you'd watch about 10 minutes, there'd be a commercial, and then you watch another.
Big, exciting cliffhangery moments. So you just stick around and watch for the second half.
Now they're having 3 commercial interruptions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they're not always commercial interruptions. I think sometimes it's like a program break, or literally like the main title credits goes in there. But it changes the way you build a story, you know, because you have to have these 3 moments now where like you're leaving the audience with like what happens next. And that's also part of the binge watching thing, is you kind of want to end the episodes with like a little hint of like, oh, if you go to the next one, you're going to be watching some of this. So that's the big change, I think.
Yeah, I mean that plus, I mean, when we first started, you had much higher ratings numbers per episodes,
Right.
Because there were less options, and now there's a lot more options, and people watch at different times. So just having to realize that the numbers that were a success even 5-10 years ago are not necessarily the same numbers you can use for what is a success now.
Yeah.
When is that evened out, or is it going to even out, do you think? Do you think it'll eventually be some barometer?
I don't know. I think it's you have to look at it in comparison to that moment that you're in.
Yeah.
And even then, this is going to get super technical, but it's not just your overnight ratings anymore. It's your live plus 3 DVR ratings and your live plus 7 DVR ratings. And then all of a sudden, you have people looking at things like Twitter to see how many people are talking about that episode online. So is it a discussed thing? Like
a Breaking Bad didn't get a second life till, I mean, most people got it on Netflix.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, services like Netflix are not even, they don't even necessarily give you the numbers, because it's not about the numbers. It's about how many people are talking about that and resubscribing or keeping subscriptions based on, well, I have to watch this other show, whether they watch it or not. It's about the fear of being left out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The CEO
Joey could speak more to that, being a young whippersnapper.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was the CEO of Netflix had a...
Your personal friend.
A good friend of mine, worked with him many a time, was talking about how people always put like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon against each other as rivals, and he was talking about how Hulu and Amazon aren't rivals to Netflix. They're just there as well as also streaming services, but the real rival to Netflix is sleep.
Yes.
Like, he wants people to pick, I want to watch another episode, as opposed to I want to go to sleep. he wants people to continue to watch Netflix.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Evil bastard.
Because it's also insane.
I literally
to look at,
had that fight last night with myself.
Yeah?
Like, I only have one Black Mirror left. I'm like, no, I gotta go to sleep.
but it's the whole you can't. Things are so immediate now that I don't think I want to talk to you guys about that. We've been going way too far, but situational comedies now are suffering, especially multi-camera, because they're so formulaic and because they're so I don't know, watching a commercial break, interrupting something. If you watch Hulu and you pay for Hulu with no commercials, there's not really that cliffhanger payoff anymore because it's not really a break. Or if you are watching it, the commercials come on and your patience is so run low because of everything you pull out your phone and you're distracted. There's so many
your brain is retrained. Yeah. You're not used to having a break.
There are certain things where...
See, for me, I go a little bit the other direction, at least with the multicams that are now on some of these streaming services. It feels weird to me when you don't have that break, which is one of the reasons Disjointed has the fake commercials and fake little interstitials, because we can now build to that moment, still fill the programming, and then come back.
Oh, yeah. And Netflix, has a lot of multi-camera sitcoms. I was telling you guys at the beginning of Liv and Maddie that I thought multi-camera sitcoms was something that was going to die out. But Netflix has The Ranch and One Day at a Time and Disjointed, and they're three of the most popular shows on
Fuller House.
You're getting Fuller House.
Fuller House.
I knew I was
biggest show on TV for a while.
Yeah, which is it's crazy because now that they are able to come out with these chunks and people are watching them in a week, it's not about you're not going to go to the water cooler and talk about that episode of Frasier that just aired. You're going to talk about, did you finish the season? I can't talk to you until you finish the season. So it's like a competition with the people that are watching it as opposed to a collaboration.
I think that what you're just talking about, though, you lose the water cooler. That is the thing that I've noticed the most.
It's water cooler, we can't talk about this.
Yeah.
And someone else oh my God, I got to go. We're not talking about that in
and
front
the
of me.
question has to be asked, why aren't these people working? I mean, why are they hanging out the water cooler?
Also, Greg, Dallas was 40 years ago.
Yeah, come on. It's not. Don't stop saying spoiler alert. It's not funny. We know.
On night, we're working on Night Squad now, and we literally in the room had to have a rule about the finale of Game of Thrones. We had to, because not everybody could watch it that night. And I think, what do we say? We everybody do it Wednesday, and then we're no, motherfuckers, we're talking about the goddamn dragons today. But yeah, and that's the last time I can remember actually talking about a show happening in real time, and that used to be all the time. I mean, so I do think that's the unfortunate side effect of binging is you don't have, not everybody's on the same schedule, and you kind of lose that cultural moment.
Yeah. Except that when you find somebody who is on the schedule, then you must talk about it.
Oh yeah.
So then, but you just have to seclude yourself, and suddenly it's your own private club.
When Stranger Things 2 came out, it was. Everybody watched it as quick as they could for that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
Still
people are trying to finish this, so it doesn't.
Still waiting.
That's
so
what it
was,
wasn't it? It wasn't Game of Thrones. It was. You're right. It was Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And then,
that we had another room in the rule.
Last Jedi.
Yeah, Last
Jedi.
There's also things I love anything based off a comic book. Anything that I read as a kid, just for some reason seeing it acted and being a thing is just, even if it's bad, I love it. Not necessarily. Justice League can suck a dick. But the show Runaways on Hulu, it was one of my favorite graphic novels when I was a kid. I was really excited to see it come out, but it comes out episodically.
Maddie alumni.
Yeah.
And
Ariel Brer.
Ariel Brer.
She's fantastic.
She is fantastic.
Maddie
She's
the
also in
Muffler
One Day
Girl.
at a Time. That working actress she is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't go on Hulu and watch this and have it. I need to binge it. I want to. I'm willing to wait. I will wait when I will wait a year for Daredevil to come out and I'll binge it. But I can't do it anymore unless it's a show like Great News or The Good Place or a show that's sequentially airing and I can't do a show that's not bingey if it's on a platform that is bingey. I can't. I pay for Hulu with no commercials. That's amazing. That is the most. I know I should be talking about Netflix.
It's killing me.
Hulu with no commercials makes SNL the quickest, most amazing thing in the world. Commercials should be a thing of the past. Because my attention span is way for you, Joey.
They pay for us.
They paid, yeah.
I'm saying,
and that was my career. Then that's why I'm doing a podcast with you, because I used to do a lot of commercials, and now they are a thing of the past, at least for union actors.
Yeah.
So they just said screw this.
My kids actually think they're getting away with something if I let them watch the commercials.
Really?
Yeah. There's commercial promos. And stuff.
When I did them, John, there was an art to it. We didn't even get into John's. We didn't even get to John's acting career. Did you ever do any commercials as an actor?
No, No, I auditioned for commercials.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is that where did you and I ever audition together for a commercial?
Probably.
I wonder.
I can see that.
We'd probably be
Kids go
buddies.
like,
Yeah.
Dad,
were
do you
magnificent.
suffer from
No.
mild to severe plaque psoriasis?
Now I do.
I am like I think that a lot of streaming services, we talked about this, are doing it wrong. I think that there are many that are doing it right. I think Hulu, and there are things like PlayStation View where it's like it works like cable. But then there are things like you go to the NBC app to watch some of the shows that aren't on Hulu, and the commercial breaks are blocks of commercials that they sell for each commercial break. So it's a redundant block of
It's the
commercials.
same commercial
playing every
over and
time.
over, yeah.
I will stop watching a show. Like, I will not watch the show if I'm going to see the same guy discover that Geico's going to save him 50% more on car insurance every single fucking commercial.
We are not
break.
sponsored by Geico.
I can't do it.
What if a guy is pulling up to his house and gets a text on his car dash that says, Mom,
Well, then you watch that over and over again.
Yeah.
That guy's brilliant.
That's what you're watching. Actually.
That guy
Yeah, I guess.
can make you feel something without saying anything, and that is what acting is all
But
about.
I have a hard time sitting with Audrey on the couch watching shows. Like, it takes a good show, like a good Black Mirror episode, or a good thing to fully grab your attention to where you're not pulling your phone out at the lulls.
Well, that's another episode where we got to get into,
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm getting there too, and I feel like that's what's scary about the whole TV thing now. That's why I wanted to ask you guys, like, it's what you're writing for is this whole new generation of people who aren't used to just doing one thing all at once.
His
at
kids
the
are
same
watching
time.
videos of other people play video games.
While they're playing video
Yeah.
games, while they're juggling.
It's cray cray.
It's pretty nuts.
Juggling.
But yeah, it's a whole
At least
different
they
thing.
can juggle, though.
Well, we'll have you. We'll have to have you back on when when you write the Liv and Maddie movie,
that would be fantastic.
and maybe whenever this Night Squad thing comes out, when we can talk about it. I feel bad. Hopefully I didn't say anything I shouldn't have.
No.
I'll go back.
You're good.
I'll go.
We-
right.
No, build the hype. I mean, we
Hype it up,
coming,
baby.
if
coming
we
soon.
knew when it was coming out, we would tell you. We just
But it's
we
coming.
Don't know.
Be on the lookout, everybody.
Yeah.
On the,
2018.
2018,
Year. Check out
sometime
Night
this
Squad.
year.
The logo's out. There's a photo out.
Oh, yeah.
There's things to
Yeah.
get your palette ready for Night Squad.
Is there a need for a weatherman in this Night Squad?
Okay,
show?
all right.
Okay.
Maybe
What,
a
is
weather-
that too much?
Maybe
Thank
a
you
weather
very much.
wizard.
A weather, weather wizard. There we go. It's writing itself. Anything you want to say to the Liv and Maddie fans who do, or some of our fans on the Dudes of Future Past podcast, are definitely Liv and Maddie fans, the ones who don't get their parents' permission to download
Yeah.
obviously
Please excuse
explicit
Joey
show.
when he says bad words.
Yeah, no,
Please.
we do have a fan or two who's like, hey guys, maybe you shouldn't have talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some kids, like, some people get, like, too put off by political stuff
Yeah, that
and
thing.
stuff. But
We're talking about our times. We're
Yeah.
talking about the times we live in.
And thank you guys so much, because
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
people on our podcast really wanted to see you guys on our podcast, and they're
Yes.
the only ones. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So
I'm excited to be here.
You don't seem it.
This is as excited as I get. This is it. This is me. Peak,
Ron
peak
Hart,
energy.
John Beck,
Thank you
Joey.
guys so
Do we have
much.
any wrapping up, closing up the shop? Do we have
Just,
to tell anybody Happy New Year?
Look out for Night Squad. Disjointed comes out January 12th.
Yeah, make
on
sure you
Netflix.
definitely tweet about that. Tweet
Liv and
at
Maddie still on Netflix.
at
Yeah,
Scatter
watch some
on
of that.
Twitter. At
Scatter,
Scatter.
yeah.
At John
At
D.
John
Beck.
D. Beck TV on Twitter.
Okay.
You've seen him harassing your children on Twitter to watch his shows.
Yeah, and we'll be bringing you more Dudes Future Past podcasts in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, dudesfuturepast.com, at DOFPcast, Twitter and Instagram. Send us your pics, all that kind of stuff. And other than that,
Thank you.
thanks for listening.
Now you play the end credit
Now this
music.
is going to be end credit. You want to get up and dance?
Yeah.
All right, let's get up and dance. We're
Okay,
just
I'm
know that
dancing
while
now.
this music is playing, Ron and John and I are dancing, and Joey's just judging.
Yeah.
All right, bye.